You might call this a rap sermon. No, I'm not going to rhyme or sing, but the RAP stands for the three notes of the Advent song, which start with the letters R-A-P. Starting with the gospel and working backwards, we hear the call to reform, for acceptance, and peace. A word on each. John the Baptist gives the clear challenge to the people of his day and to us. Reform your lives. Repent. This note of Advent is a challenge to look at ourselves in a mirror and to see ourselves as we really are. The question to be asked is, how do I need to reform? And if you can't think of anything, you can start with the need to be less proud of yourself. Or, as I have said before, ask the person you live with, and they might make some suggestions. Advent is addressed to you and me as a personal invitation to take stock of our lives and to make the necessary adjustments. It's really a question of cooperating with the grace of God that is ours. This past week I was on retreat at a place called Eastern Point in Gloucester. It's right on the Atlantic coast. And in front of the dining room is a giant rock that they call Brace Rock. It's longer than a football field, and at low tide it goes up a good 100 feet. I was looking at it and imagining that the sea was God's grace, and the rock was me or you. And to the eye, the surf bounces against the rock, crashes against the rock, and nothing happens. Scientifically, something is happening, but not to the naked eye. We kind of resist God's grace, the ocean, having an impact. We just simply remain unmoved. Would that we were like the sand on the shore, and the sea was God's grace. As I alluded to a few weeks ago, if we pile up sand at the seashore, the changing tide simply wipes it away. And that's us cooperating with God's grace. May this Advent find us more like the sand than the rock. Moving to the middle reading from Romans, we heard that Paul tells the people of his day to accept one another or to welcome one another as Christ accepts you. Hearing this message in Advent is an invitation for us to relate to the other in a more accepting way. Paul does say, as Christ accepts us, and Christ accepts us unconditionally. He accepts us as we are, not as he wants us to be. Think how this might change the way we deal with family members and friends, accepting them as they are, and not necessarily as we would like them to be. Advent then is not only a time to reform our lives, it's also a time to reflect on the way that we relate to another. And the third and final note of our Advent melody comes from the reading from Isaiah, in which he paints a picture of peace coming to the world with the coming of the Messiah. We live in a world that has seen the Messiah, but we very rarely see worldwide peace, at least on the scale that Isaiah proclaims. Enemies or perceived enemies continue to sow hatred, division, and suspicion. Think of the stories from Syria and the million-plus refugees in neighboring countries, or think of the long, drawn-out war in Afghanistan, or perhaps we could just look at our own family to see how we are sometimes at war. Reform, acceptance, and peace, three movements of the Advent song that bring us full circle. Reform is a call to focus on the me, acceptance on the thee, and peace on the we.